Hello, my name's Julia. I'm 28 years old. These last few months have been a roller coaster of events, and they all involve my entitled brat of a sister-in-law. But before I tell you about it, I need to tell you a little about myself. I grew up in a family that belonged to the upper middle class. I had quite a few privileges in life, but nothing that extravagant either. I still had to work hard to get the things that I wanted. I also have a very close relationship with my family, which is why I always go above and beyond to help those in my family. When I was 23, my last remaining grandfather passed away. He left me quite a large sum of money as an inheritance. While it wasn't enough to buy a house, I could buy myself a decent apartment in a good locality that was also relatively close to where my family lived. So I did just that. And only a few months after I purchased my apartment, I met my husband, Shane. Shane and I had a few mutual friends that introduced us to each other. We ended up clicking really well. We started dating almost immediately after we met each other. Aside from Shane and I having a lot of things in common, we also got along well with each other's family. The only exception being Shane's sister, Mabel. While the rest of Shane's family treated me warmly, Mabel was cold towards me. I didn't know if I did something to her, so I tried my best to be there for her. She was a good 6 years younger than me, so whenever Shane's parents asked me to give her advice on career prospects and college-related issues, I tried my best to help, but Mabel never warmed up to me. I later found out that the reason for that was Mabel was jealous of all the attention that I was getting, attention that she considered stolen from her. Mabel had to constantly have all the attention on herself, and if anyone stole it for even a second, she developed a resentment for them. I figured that I didn't want that kind of energy around me, so I kind of backed off from spending a lot of time with Shane's family, something that Shane was fully supportive of. Shane and I got married after dating for 4 years, and we had moved into an apartment at that point. And we were very focused on our careers, especially Shane. We wanted to start a family, and we wanted to be as financially stable as possible. Shane was in line for a huge promotion at his work, so for the first few months after we got married, I barely saw much of him because of how hard he was working. I didn't mind that because we also made sure to make time for each other. About a year after we got married, though, Shane came home from work one day looking upset. After a little prodding, he finally told me what was bothering him. "So, I have some bad news." "Oh no, what's wrong?" "Do you remember that huge promotion I'd been working towards?" "Oh, sweetie, did you not get it?" "I did." "Oh my God, that's great, isn't it?" "Of course it is. It's just that there is a downside to the promotion." "Oh, what is it?" "It turns out I'll have to shift offices to Massachusetts." "What? But that's all the way on the other side of the country." "I know. I'm just so confused about what I want to do. I have until the end of this week to make my decision about whether I want the promotion or not." "Sweetie, I can't leave this place. I have a house here. I don't want to live too far from our families." "I know. I would never expect you to leave everything behind for this." "You really want the promotion, don't you?" "Of course. I mean, I worked so hard for so many months. I'd be really upset if I didn't get to see all my hard work pay off, you know." "I get that. You know what we could always do with the extra money? Anyways, we were planning on having kids." "What are you saying? That I take the job? But what about you?" "Sweetie, we're married. We can definitely survive long distance for a while. Besides, we're also financially secure enough to fly back and forth every few weeks to visit." "Are you sure about it? This is a big decision." "I'm 100% sure. You shouldn't have to give up on your success because of me. We're strong enough to do long distance, don't you think?" "Of course, I know we are. It's just going to be hard to live extended periods of time without you. How often would we even see each other because you won't be able to take that much time off work either?" Calm down, sweetie. I know that this is a big change, but we can iron out the details later on. For now, why don't we just celebrate your promotion? All right, dinner's on me. Let's go. I was devastated, but I also knew that if Shane did not pursue his career in the way that he wanted, he'd begin to develop some form of resentment against me. I also knew that if I left my comfort place, the same would happen to me. After talking about it for a few weeks, we decided that it would be best for him to work there for a couple of years maximum, and then after that, he could come back. While working there, we'd fly out to meet each other every 3 weeks. It would be a tough time, but I had faith that we could make it. Shane accepted the promotion and he was set to fly out in 2 months. After everything was finalized, like his stay there and all that, we told our families about the news. It was bittersweet for them too, but we made sure to give Shane a great farewell party because after all, Shane would be busy packing up to leave. Once we hit the last month of his stay with me before he left, Shane one day came back home and told me that he needed to ask me about something. Hi, sweetie. How was work? It was good, although I do have something to talk to you about. Oh, what is it? Well, Mabel called me today. How is she? Is everything okay with her? It's been a while since we heard from her. She's doing good. She's struggling to find a job right now, so she asked if we could help her out. Of course. Did you ask her to send her resume to you? Because you could give it to me and I could give it to a few people too. Yeah, I did, but she did ask for one more thing. What is it? She wanted to stay here for a few months. Wait, why? She wanted a change of scenery and she wanted to stay here for a while. Apparently my parents are bugging her too much, and so she's fighting with them a lot. What do you think we should do? I mean, I'm not quite sure. I love her, but these are your last months here before you leave for your big promotion. I mean, I don't want you to have to deal with anything that you don't want to, and no offense, but Mabel has a reputation for making things difficult. I know, but she's family and it feels so wrong to turn her down. Don't you think it's kind of odd that she only asked you after you told your family that you'd be moving for a job? What do you mean? I mean, you and I both know that she doesn't like me, so it's odd that she's asked you about this, knowing that it will only be her and I in the house at all times. You're right. It is kind of odd, but I don't think she means to do any harm. I mean, if she does, we could just kick her out. Well, that's true. So you're going to tell her that she can live with us for a bit? Yeah, but I'll give her a strict deadline to leave. All right, that's fine with me. Are you sure? Because you're going to be the one living with her. You just need to say no, and I'll tell Mabel that. It's really okay. She's my family too, and I shouldn't let my issues get in the way of being nice to her. Thank you, darling. Hush. This is what families do for each other. If I'm being completely honest, I wasn't all that happy about Mabel coming to stay with me, but she was my family now, and I wanted to treat her as such. Shane made sure to check with me again for a few more days, and once he was absolutely sure that I was on board with letting her stay with me, he told her to move in. He made it explicitly clear to her that she had to move out in 2 months. Mabel agreed, and she seemed over the moon that she got to live with us. At first, things were going pretty well. Mabel was barely home, and we didn't think it was our place to set any time restrictions for her, especially since she was a grown adult who was responsible for her own actions. Whenever we did catch her, though, she was nice to us, and I was just glad that there was no tension between us at that time. However, that all changed pretty quickly. In fact, after just 2 weeks into Mabel moving in with us, Mabel happened to come down for breakfast with us one morning, which rarely happened considering she was always sleeping until noon. She seemed happy and she greeted us warmly. Good morning. Good morning, Mabel. Did you sleep well? Oh yeah, I'm so sorry I haven't been home much. I've been used to my freedom to do whatever, whenever, a little too much. It's all right. As long as you're safe and you're enjoying your time here, it's all good. Julia and I are going to get some groceries in a little while. Let us know if you need anything. I don't think I'll need anything specifically, but I do need to ask you guys something. Yes, what is it? Well, before I ask you that, I need to tell you guys that I'm dating someone. Oh, that's wonderful. What's his name? How did you meet him? His name is Nathan, and I met him at a club. A club? Yeah, my friend had a party at this club for her birthday, and Nathan and I got to talking. He's a really cool guy. How old is he? He's 26, and before you say anything, I know that you're thinking that he's a little too old for me, but he seriously makes me happy. Like I said earlier, as long as you're being safe, we have nothing else to say. Yeah, so what is the question that you wanted to ask us? Well, Nathan just lost his job and he's struggling right now. Do you think I could ask him to stay here with me? Absolutely not. What? Why? Because first of all, we barely know him. I don't want some stranger living under the same roof as me. It's dangerous. But he's not a stranger to me. He's my boyfriend. That doesn't make him any less of a stranger to us. And secondly, he's a grown man. He can figure out his housing by himself. He can't rely on a freshly graduated girl to provide for him. You have no say in this, Julia. Shane, come on. You understand me, right? You're okay with it, right? No, of course I'm not. I don't think it's okay for you to even ask us when we've graciously let you live here. I don't know what kind of hold Julia has on you, but she's changed you. You're not the amazing brother that I had growing up. Mabel stormed off to God knows where after that. I felt really bad for saying no to Mabel after she told Shane that he was not a good brother. Personally, if my siblings said that to me, I would have been crushed. But Shane assured me that it wasn't the first time that Mabel had said something rude just to get her way. I was then upset that Mabel being so mean was so normal that Shane had gotten desensitized to it. Anyways, Mabel kept her distance from us after that. She barely spoke to us unless it was absolutely necessary to. I tried to talk to her and explain to her where I was coming from, but she refused to even look at my face. Every time I was alone in the living room and she saw me there, she would dash into her room so she could avoid me. It took me some time, but I eventually made peace with Mabel being that way, especially because I had something more important to focus on. Shane was leaving for another state for work. It was really hard for me to deal with Shane leaving. It was a difficult time for us, and it took a few weeks to actually get used to Shane's absence. What did not make it easier for me was Mabel's behavior. With Shane not there, I guess she thought that she could treat me however she wanted to. She would throw insults my way, and she would make a mess everywhere, and whenever I asked her to clean up after herself, she would laugh at me. She would constantly ask me to let her bring her boyfriend Nathan over. I'd keep turning her down, and when that happened, she'd get all huffy and tell me that Shane left me to get away from my prude-like behavior. I was so close to kicking her out. In fact, Shane told me I was free to do it if I wanted to. But she was family, so I never did. That all changed when I came back home one day with my bags packed and outside the apartment. I rang the doorbell, and Mabel answered the door. What's going on here? Why are my bags packed and left outside? You're moving out. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Mabel, this is my house. I'm not moving out. You can't just pack my bags and ask me to leave. Yes, I most definitely can do that. Pray tell, how can you do something like that? My brother pays the rent for this place. He's working hard, far away from us, just so he can pay for this place. I don't see why you have to live here. That makes no sense. I don't care that your slow brain can't understand what I'm saying. I already packed your things up, so you don't have to worry about it. You're welcome for it, by the way. I have nothing to be grateful for. You can't kick me out of my own home. It's not your place. How do you think Shane is going to react when he finds out that you've kicked me out? He let you stay here out of obligation and love for you. I'm sure he'll understand that I did the right thing. Besides, I also need some space to spend time with my boyfriend. Your boyfriend? Yeah, he's moving in, and before you suggest us living together, I don't want that. Unfortunately, there's not enough room for useless people in this house. Useless? You're the one that doesn't have a job. Just because you have a job doesn't mean you can't be useless. You purposely sent my brother away to work so you could lounge in this huge apartment all by yourself. I will not let that happen any longer. You need to be put in your place. Why in the world would I want to spend time away from Shane? Are you insane? I didn't send him anywhere. I only supported whatever decision he chose to make. Look, I don't care about all that. You need to leave and take your things with you. You're going to be sorry for this. Oh, I feel so scared. You know what? Bring it on. Let me see what that pathetic threat of yours can actually do. Mabel slammed the door in my face after saying that. I was shocked at what had happened. Once the shock faded, I was shaking with rage. I tried ringing the doorbell again for a while, but Mabel never answered the door. I couldn't understand how she could turn on me when I had been so accommodating and tolerant of her behavior towards me. But it did make sense why she would treat me that way, considering she thought that Shane paid rent for the place. It was still no excuse for her to treat me that way. My rage turned into panic and humiliation. I quietly picked my things off the floor and made my way to my car. I didn't know where to go, so I just drove around for a while. I checked the time in Massachusetts before calling Shane to let him know about what was happening and what to do about it. Hi, darling, how are you? Actually, not good. What? Why, is everything okay? It's not. Today, when I got back home from work, I was greeted with all my bags packed. What do you mean? Where was Mabel? Mabel was the one who packed my bags and asked me to move out. What? Why would she do that? She thinks that I'm useless, so you shouldn't have to spend money on rent just to pay for me. She's also moved her boyfriend in to live with her. Oh my God, I'm so sorry that she's behaving that way. There's no need for you to apologize. I'm just upset at her audacity. She did not even seem to care about what your reaction would be to her kicking me out. She thinks that you'll eventually realize that she was right for doing that. That's insane. I would never be okay with that. I'm so angry that I want to give her a piece of my mind right now. You and me both. Do you want to do something about it? I'm only asking because I want you to know that I'm going to support you no matter what you do. I don't really know what to do. Mabel clearly doesn't know that the apartment belongs to you. Maybe there's some legal action you could take. Oh yeah, of course, I do have an idea, but I don't exactly know how you feel about it. What do you mean? I could report her as a trespasser and she would be escorted out by the police. It might even go on her record. That's a great idea. I was getting tired of her entitled behavior, and this is just the last straw. I will not have her kick you out of your own home. Are you sure? Absolutely. Besides, I really don't like her boyfriend. I'm sure it'll do him good to be taken out by the police. All right, I'll call the police right now and report Mabel. Yeah, just keep me updated about the whole thing, and if you need me to come there, just say the word. I'll let you know about it, but for now, I think I can handle everything. I knew that Shane would be on my side, but I just needed some more reassurance from him. When I got it, I immediately went down to the police station and filed a report against Mabel for trespassing. After proving my ownership of the apartment, the police officer asked me if I wanted to accompany them to my apartment. But I told them that I did not want to see Mabel at that point. They asked me to wait there or go someplace where I could wait a while until they got Mabel out of the house. I went over to my mom's house. My mom was appalled to hear about what had happened and offered to help me too. It took a long while, but eventually the police officers asked me to come back home and make sure that nothing was stolen. I practically raced back home, and when I got there, I looked everywhere to make sure I still had everything. Thankfully, everything was there. I thanked the police officers for their help, and they told me that they had a slight issue with getting Mabel out. They also told me to call them if I needed help with her again because she had been put on their record now. I was confused, but I was honestly too tired to ask what happened. The next morning, however, I got all my answers. Mabel called me to yell at me. "You called the cops on us." "I told you that you would be sorry for kicking me out." "Why would the cops arrest us anyways? We were not trespassing in any way. This was a flat that Shane was paying for, right?" "No, he wasn't." "I know you made up a huge bunch of lies just to get us arrested. Do you even know what's been happening?" "No, and frankly, I don't care. I'll have your bags packed, and I need you to come and pick them up by the end of the day." "You got Nathan arrested. He's going to go to jail." "Oh, how did that happen?" "We thought the cops were trying to force us out, so he put up a fight and ended up injuring the officer in the process. This is all your fault. You need to call the cops and tell them that you lied." "But I didn't lie about a single thing." "Don't test me, Julia. I've only been quiet about my dislike for you because I respect Shane. But if you don't call the cops and make things right, I'm going to tell my family about everything. And you're going to be shunned by everyone." "What exactly are you going to tell them? That I kicked you and your boyfriend out of the apartment that I own?" "What are you talking about?" "The apartment that you kicked me out of is mine. I bought it right after I graduated." "No, you're lying. You're trying to keep the lie up. I just know it." "I have no reason to lie. You can ask Shane yourself. If you want me to send you the documents of my purchase, I can do that too." "Why would you not say anything to me about it? Why was this hidden?" "I don't see why my affairs are your issue. It's not my fault that you made assumptions for which you have to pay the price right now." "Yes, it is. You need to do something about this. If you had told me that you owned the apartment, I would not have anything on my record and Nathan wouldn't be in jail." "I have nothing to do with this, Mabel. Shane and I were nice to you because you were family. You did nothing but make our lives hell. I could have kicked you out right after Shane left, but I didn't do that because I cared about you. This is no way to treat the person that's helping you out. Maybe you could learn something from this. Goodbye." But when Mabel started spreading lies, I was furious. So every time I got a call from a concerned family member, I would send them the video recording of the day that Mabel threw me out of my own home. Thankfully, our entire conversation happened at the doorstep, and my security doorbell caught the whole interaction. With that proof, everyone began to turn on Mabel, and that only made her angrier with me. She couldn't reach out to me, so she called Shane and tried to get into an argument with him about me, but Shane wasn't having any of it. He chewed her out real good and told her to stop bothering the both of us. Mabel also ended up getting kicked out of her parents' house because they didn't want to have anything to do with a lying, manipulative and thieving person. Eventually, Mabel gave up her huge ego and came over to my place to beg me to take her back. She cried and begged me to help her out because she didn't have any other place to go to. Now, here's the thing. Lawfully bad for her. No matter how much I wanted to help her, I couldn't let go of the feeling of getting kicked out of my own home. So while I couldn't help her live with me, I did suggest some alternatives for her until she got up on her own feet. She did not like that I wasn't helping her out, and she threw a fit. I had to eventually ask her to leave, and when she did not, I threatened to call the cops again. Thankfully, that got her out of the door almost immediately. I was paranoid about Mabel having a copy of the keys to my place, especially considering how she never returned it to me, even when I asked her to, so I made sure to change the locks, which was once again a smart move because Mabel did try to break in. I snapped after that and called the police on her again, and this time she got arrested for real. She was slapped with a hefty fine, and since it was her first offense, she got off with community service. I also managed to get a restraining order against her. It's been a good few months since all of this went down. It was really hard to get rid of the paranoia of her breaking in again, but eventually things calmed down. Almost everyone in Shane's family has cut ties with Mabel, although they're willing to let her back in once she realizes how bad her actions were, and she apologizes for it. I don't know what's been going on in her life now, and I'm happy to not know any of it. I'm just happy that she's no longer someone that I have to deal with. I'm happier now, and so is Shane. Never in my life did I think I'd have to deal with things like this, but it is comforting to know that I was able to handle this in the best way possible. Thanks for listening.